Okay, it's going again.
All right.
And it's working. It should be.
Back. See if we're back. Are we back in the other room?
No, it cut out on time too.
Yeah,
It's a new thing.
Click on the new start.
Click on the new one.
So there's a new start.
Yeah.
Ellie.
People don't have the audacity to come here and just teach us.
What are you talking about? They're in overflow. Oh, you just were too stubborn to go in the other room. It's not their fault. Well, maybe it is.
Is it just me or like?
We're no longer a public good.
There's 3 viewers.
3.
Now profitable.
That's a lot.
Yeah,
No, that's not.
No, that's it, because we have 2 screens up. So that's one person's randomly watching. That's it. I didn't think anybody would watch.
It's working in this room. Also, Jing Jing's at home. He told me that.
It's just.
Oh, so he's the 3rd. Hi, Ching Ching. Oh, it's Bondo? Oh, hi, Bondo.
Is it Anna? Is it John? Yo, I don't know why. Is it just me or like even though we just had math, I'm still stressing about the bio.
I would do bio rock. Oh my god. Krebs cycle? Like did we even study that?
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, Ellie.
We're all good. All right. So this red box is my total revenue. And if I subtract my if I review by explicit cost, this becomes my profit. But and here's my explicit cost. But I also have to add my implicit cost. So then this becomes my profit. And you can see that economic profit is always smaller than accounting profit. Has to be. There's always implicit costs. Regardless of what you do, you can always be doing something else. It could be as trivial or minimal as driving Uber, but there's always something else you could be doing. So there are always implicit costs. So economic profit is always greater than accounting profit.
The other way around.
Economic profit is always less than accounting profit. Very good. My bad. So if economic profit is 0, so let's say it's a normal profit. The AP exam loves to ask about this. If normal profit, that means economic profit is 0. So we have our total revenue minus explicit costs equals accounting profit. Then we subtract our implicit costs, which equals our economic profit. In this case, we know our economic profit is 0 because the firm is earning a normal profit. They will ask you about this. If a firm is earning a normal profit, what is their accounting profit? And the answer is always positive. I'll show you why. So let's say our total revenue is 120. Let's say our explicit costs are 100. That means we have $20 of accounting profit. We know our normal profit is going to be 0, which means our implicit costs have to be 20 and equal to our accounting profit. Has to happen. Remember, there are always implicit costs. So if a firm is earning a normal profit, they will have an accounting profit, which will be equal to the implicit cost. $20 equals 20. So if you get that on the AP, it'll say like, it's a natural monopoly, and maybe we'll do this when we get to monopolies. They are producing at the fair market price, or they're earning a normal profit. Are they earning an accounting profit? And the answer is yes. If they ask you to explain, say yes, it's equal to implicit cost. So that is accounting profit, implicit cost, economic profit. Now let's go units 6 and 7 together. This is a bulk of the test. It's the nature of markets. Let's start with perfect competition. Actually, why don't we do all the markets together? Let's do characteristics. And then after this, we just have labor markets, factor markets, and then we're done. We have perfect competition. we have MOCOs, we have oligopolies, and we have monopolies. In perfect competition, we have no barriers to entry, which leads to many firms, many buyers, many sellers. All products in perfect competition are homogeneous, exactly the same, which leads to price-taking behavior. And no long-run profits or losses. In the long run, perfect competition earns a normal profit. Let's go to MOCO. We have basically ease of entry, so no significant barriers, which leads to many firms. But this is the difference between MOCOs and perfect competition. In MOCO, there are so many firms. We have 12 pizzerias in our little town of Belmont, 24,000 people, 12 pizzerias, seems excessive, but the products are differentiated. It matters where you go. Some people prefer Nick's, some people prefer Camellas, some people prefer Theo's, Belmont, Michael's, Lisa's. Different preferences, the products are differentiated, which means they are price searchers. The prices are different for these differentiated products. Other examples of MOCOs: movies, books, albums, songs. There is so much competition, but if I want to watch the movie Get Out, the only movie I can watch that's Get Out is Get Out. So they have a monopoly on Get Out. Yet Get Out competes with thousands of other movies. And in the long run, there are no long run profits or losses. There are obviously going to be no long run losses, because if you're losing in the long run, you would leave the market. So that's the difference between a MOCO and perfect competition. Now let's go to oligopoly. Significant barriers to entry, which leads to a few dominant firms. In this country, we have 3 major soft drink companies: Coca-Cola, PepsiCo, and Keurig Dr. Pepper. Those are the 3 firms. They are dominant firms. There are significant barriers to get into like the mass soft drink market. Products can either be differentiated or homogeneous. Crude oil is homogeneous. It's all the same crude oil, but they're oligopolists, so we think of this as a cartel. We think of OPEC, the Organization for Petroleum Exporting Countries. Few dominant countries or firms in that case, but their product is homogeneous. Steel would be another example of a homogeneous oligopoly. And this, obviously, we have long-run profits. Coke and Pepsi are doing all right for themselves. Monopolies. Oh, the last thing here, the firms are interdependent. And they advertise. MOCOs advertise, or they can advertise. In perfect competition, no advertise. Because there's no way to differentiate your product. It's like, we're selling wheat stock at the same price as everybody else is selling wheat stock. Come buy our wheat stock. It's exactly the same. It's the same price. You wouldn't waste money on that. But for a MOCO, you would advertise to increase demand for your product, because your product is technically a monopoly, even though it's competing. For an oligopoly, you're obviously advertising, and you're very worried about the other advertisers. We have Super Bowl Sunday coming up in 2 weeks. You will see a commercial for Coke, followed by a commercial for Pepsi. You will see firms that are interdependent, that are oligopolists competing with each other. And then monopolies, you'll see a Ford, Chevy, you'll see a lot of truck commercials. Monopolies are, we'll call extreme barriers. One firm is the market, and this will have the highest price, lowest quantity in all the market structures. And this would have the lowest price, highest quantity in all the market structures. In firms, in markets, well, they can ebb and flow, they can go back and forth. That some firms may act more like an oligopoly in a small town or a small area, or in a like a remote stretch of highway. Inside a airport terminal, so Dunkin' Donuts in our town is like $2.50, $3 for medium coffee. You go inside the gate at Logan and $75. A little high, $73. So that's because in the Dunkin' Donuts inside the terminal, there are higher barriers to entry. They act closer to a monopoly. All right, those are the characteristics. Let's start with perfect competition. We know the characteristics. I just wrote them. Here we go, the worst thing of the year. Remember, X markets.
Oh, I love this.
You love this? It's terrible.
No, it's good.
Yeah.
X markets the spot.
It's original.
But originality is not always good. But I appreciate it. Thank you. So a couple things to note. When we're thinking what's a market, what's a firm, the X markets the spot. So we know an X is a market. Here we are price takers. So we have Mr. DARP, marginal revenue, demand, average revenue, and price are all the same thing. So we have price, average revenue, demand, and marginal revenue. That's because firms can only charge one price. Because products are homogeneous, there are many buyers, many sellers, all selling the same thing. If they charge a different price, they will either lose revenue or they will sell nothing. We put in our marginal cost. Another note here, we always produce, let me be more dramatic. When we can control it as a firm, we always produce where marginal revenue equals marginal cost. This is profit maximization. Doesn't mean you're making a profit. It means this is where you would be making the most profit or minimizing the loss. This is the best place for the firm. Now, as we'll see, MOCOs, oligopolies, monopolies may not always be able to produce there. They may be regulated to socially optimal, fair market, revenue maximization, anything like that. But here, this is MR equals MC. That is where we are going to produce. So you go from the demand down to quantity. And then if this is equilibrium, we do ATC. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to, in a PC market, I'm going to demonstrate how an increase in demand leads to no change in price in the long run. So we have X markets the spot, supply and demand, P1, Q1, quantity price. Here's my firm. We're currently in long run equilibrium. So what happens here is we're going to increase demand for the market. Demand for this product increases. In the short run, price goes up. So now the firm, oh, I forgot to put in my average total cost, my mistake. Now we compare our new price to our average total cost. This firm is earning a profit. Other firms are going to want to enter this market because this market is profitable and there are no barriers to entry. However, in the short run, remember, you cannot enter in short run. If you are entering, you are changing your costs. You have no costs. You want to sell this product, so you buy a storefront, you buy the production, you now have costs. That is changing. Your costs are changing, which means they're variable. So the catch-22, if you are entering a market, you are in the long run because you are now entering the market. That long run could be any amount of time. It could be a week, it could be a month, it could be 10 years. But for a short period of time, a short run, this firm's making a profit. However, in the long run, other firms are entering. There are no barriers to entry. Supply shifts to the right.